Welcome to Massive Passive Cash Flow, the podcast that guides professionals to financial prosperity. Join our community and let's start building your wealth. Here's your host, Gary Wilson.
Well, hello there. Welcome aboard. This is Gary Wilson, and this is the Massive Passive Cash Flow podcast. Good to have you back. We got a great episode today. Kim Hayden's on board with us from Canada via Wichita, Kansas. We'll introduce Kim in a moment here. Just a little housekeeping. If you have not done so, please feel free to subscribe to the podcast. It's on any number of channels, Stitcher, iTunes, iHeartRadio. So go ahead and do that. And if you haven't yet gone to the website, go to realestatewithgarywilson.com, and you'll see you can get all kinds of free information. I've written 7 books, created 6 training programs, and we give a lot of that away for free. So go click on members area. And if you remember, you know what to do on the left-hand side. If you're not, go to the right where it said if you're not a member, and click there and get in for free for 30 days and grab all the goodies you can get. Pretend like it's Christmas and Santa's sleigh wrecked in your front yard and all the toys are right there in front of you. That's what it's like. We don't charge a dime for it. Yours for the taking. We want you to be a learned, educated, informed investor or agent. Oh, by the way, if you are an agent, okay, we have a team of investor agents in 24 states and 1 Canadian provinces, okay? And we have 3,000 investors in our network. So if you're looking to build that part of your business out, to work with investors the right way, definitely go on the homepage, the front page, and click on that link that you'll see. It says agents, click here. Do that, and we'll have a brief conversation. So in any case, enough of that. We got Kim Hayden. Kim, welcome aboard, first of all. I'm so glad you're taking your precious time to do this. Thank you very much.
Gary, I am so excited. Now, Massive Passive Cash Flow Podcast. That's a mouthful. So Thank you for having me here. And where were you 20 years ago when I started real estate? I have to tell you, 7 books. Wow. Yeah. That's awesome. Okay. So let's do this.
Yeah, several thousand transactions and several hundred properties and thousands of tenants and a lot of gray hair. A lot of gray hair later. So in any case, let's go ahead and jump into it. So understand, reading a little bit about you, I'm fascinated because you have an amazing story and you hail from one of my favorite places, Wichita, Kansas. So that you're able to boast one of Frank Lloyd Wright's famous houses down there. And I've been there and toured the house several years ago, as well as taught a class there. And you made your way up to Canada. So if you could, tell us a little bit about that. If you paint a picture of Kim Hayden for everybody listening here so we have a better idea of who you are. And then we can dig into some meat and potatoes. How about that?
Awesome. Well, first off, that Frank Lloyd Wright house, was that in College Hill in Wichita, Kansas? Do you recall?
I believe it was. Yes. I got the book on the house.
Just down the road from my church that I went to growing up. So yes, I am Kim Hayden, and I'm not a big throw your affirmations out, but resilience is my number one every day. I know I'm resilient. I continue to move through things. I believe I'm somewhat of a cautionary tale with almost like a Disney spin on it. And I'm here to share a lot of that. So originally from Wichita, Kansas, I will give you the quick cliff notes. I came from some fairly extensive poverty and abuse, and you name it, kind of that whole movie of the week scenario. And at 20, with a baby on the hip and, a whole scenario from an ex-husband already at 20, go figure, high school dropout, hairdresser, you name it. The absolute biggest cliche you could get for a woman from Kansas. Oh, and by the way, throw in the trailer park or two. So I hopped in my car. I moved to Vegas because at the end of the day, I was just looking for a way to feed my kid and to have medical insurance. The holy grail in the United States is medical insurance. Waited tables for 4 years, met my husband, moved to Canada. Now, once I moved to Canada, obviously medical insurance was not an issue. I started taking some additional courses and classes and tried to find myself. So it's the first time I had an opportunity to breathe. Again, going back to resilience. In moving from Toronto, so Toronto was my first home. I was there for nearly 5 years. We bought and sold our first house, and I never looked at any of the paperwork or understood any of the movement of money and never had filed my taxes. So again, cautionary tale, ladies. Moved to Calgary, and I am at home now with 2 children. And my husband's traveling. He's making good money, but he comes back, and I've sponge painted the entire foyer. And okay, first of all, I have to clarify. This is 1998. Sponge painting leaves in your foyer is totally acceptable. It was actually in at one time.
Yeah.
So I sponge painted the entire foyer. My husband comes walking in. I look at him and said, "Oh, honey, if I don't get a job, you're going to find your children on a milk carton. I can't do the at-home thing." Hardest job I've ever had in my life was being home full time with my kids. I mean, they don't give you lunch breaks. You can't go out without them. Like, come on, they're the hardest taskmasters you get. So I went into real estate in 1999. My gift is being able to serve. I love people. I love my community. I became a community expert without even realizing what I was doing. Never had any coaching, never really invested. I didn't know what I was doing, and I just kind of fumbled along. And fast forward 22 years, 5 rental properties, sold those, had a house, lost a house, up and down. I'm sitting back going, what can I really offer? I'm really good at bringing people together and serving them. So let me go out and find the people who have even a greater voice, a better understanding, of real estate investment, and start bringing this back. So the woman I was 20 years ago, will have a leader and a coach. So that's where I'm at. So do you have most people need a nap after I tell them my entire story. How you doing there, Gary?
I'm doing great. You're doing fantastic. Before we're done, I want to ask you a question about Calgary, but we'll keep going because you're getting into the real estate part, and I think people are their ears are pointed now your direction. So, yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I've learned is I have not positioned myself well. I am the real estate agent out there. I am your mother, your daughter, your sister, your crazy ex-wife, and she may not be crazy. She just may have had issues with you. But the reality is I am every woman. Statistically, we see more women will retire or not retire. They'll work at McDonald's or Walmart until they're dead, broke. These are reality. And I want to, in my own way, be able to bring my skill set forward. So I understand real estate inside and out, like 1,800 real estate transactions. I've only had a couple complaints in my entire career. That's a lot of transactions not to have people chasing you down with a pitchfork. And so I take that, and then my pride of being awarded the Jubilee Award for the Queen's 75th year in sitting on the throne. So this is a Commonwealth Award in 2012 for people who are curating community globally. And we got one. We got one of those, recognizing how hard I work for my community. So now the new community is the Resilient Series, and working with women in particular to help educate them into things that I didn't realize I needed to know until now. So even just knowing what a REIT is, what investment pools are, can you micro invest? What's going on with the EFT or ETFs? What is going on out there, and where are my options? I always thought that I had to come up with $250,000 or $500,000 to join the real estate investment opportunity. And I was high performing. I was in the top 1% of Calgary. I've won every award, and I still thought that way until I started doing my research over the last little while. And the reason I'm finding all these incredible voices. I think you had Deborah on one of your podcasts. She's from Saskatchewan. Is that correct? Amazing voice.
Yeah.
Amazing voice. I'm going to do what I do well, which is bring all these women together and create a space that's safe. So I can call women like my mother. I asked my mom, do you know what a REIT is? What's that? Mom, do you know what a micro pool is? Do you know what an ETF is? Do you know what any of these things are? My mom's like, no. What are they? And they're acronyms, Mom. They're acronyms for the real estate investment trust. She goes, what's that? I just talked to a woman the other day, business owner, 13 years, owns 2 properties plus her own. So she's obviously an investor. And I said, well, have you thought about doing REITs and looking at outside of our local community? Because Calgary has had some very extreme shifts in our, I mean, it's a bit volatile to have all your eggs in one basket. And she goes, is that a pyramid thing?
Wow.
This is not a stupid woman. This is a smart woman who runs a profitable business and has an excellent reputation in Calgary for 13 years. And when I can do that, and I'm literally hitting over and over and over again that people who are not directly involved in real estate maybe don't know all their options. That's what I'm working on. So that's where I'm at, Gary.
Cool. Well, that's a great story. So I've got to ask you, being you've been in Calgary for a while, and do you ride any horses up there or compete at all, or any of the children?
My son does trail rides, and he's actually done some drone work on trail rides. Wow. I'm more of a passive gal. I like the white cowboy hat, but I will tell you, I still have my breath taken away by the mountains. Growing up in Wichita, Kansas, you can watch your dog run away for 3 days. So to be here in Calgary, and I've been here for 23 years now. And I still, there's this one road in particular that you just hit it the certain way. And it is like a photographer's backdrop. It looks so surreal. And it's such a gift. And I wish everybody would look at their home where they live as a gift, because most cities I go to are pretty cool, are truly pretty cool. Even Cheyenne, Wyoming. Cheyenne, Wyoming has a cool old Art Deco depot that's been completely redone. They do a rodeo there. They have this old hotel that's phenomenal. I believe that our home area where we live is what we choose to see it as. And so I'm just happy I'm not living in a trailer outside of Wichita. So
or Calgary for that matter. So
Calgary. Although that's what Buffett has, is he's been investing big time in mobiles and RTMs. So
it's big business the last several years, and the market's shifting and changing right in front of us. I mean, I know in the old days we would tell people, don't invest in land; it's too speculative, and lenders don't really like it so much unless there's a property on it. But now we're actually telling people, in some cases, not every case, but I think you should buy land, so at least part of your portfolio, So,
you have to have land to build anything on. And I think, what was it? National Association of Realtors just came out with a stat believing that there's 4.5 million affordable houses short in the United States alone. And what is it? 1.6 in California alone. So I think land, you know what they say, buy land because they're not building anymore. It's a true thing. It's a true thing.
Yeah. Plus, you need a place to pitch your tent while you're waiting for your house to be built, So,
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, listen to this. You had a few properties in the past, and that were they rentals? I think you said you had 5 at one point, 5 properties?
Yeah, we had 5 rentals, and honestly, it got to where it was just too much work. It was too much work to have them all and run 60 to 80 transactions and three children. And I had one rental where the tenant's son chose to use the garage door as a backdrop for his hockey puck. And after that, I just kind of said, okay, I think I'm done. And I actually ended up selling off all the properties. But had I been aware that there were other investment opportunities at that time, I would have taken a portion of that money and probably put it right over into something that I wasn't on the hook for to manage day in, day out. I don't want to be dealing with somebody else's toilet or, rowdy kids or anything like that. I want the opportunity personally to just invest and have something that is a retirement fund, right? Because that's the one thing real estate agents, they joke, what's the number one joke about real estate agents?
Yeah, they don't
They don't
invest
they
in their
don't
own product.
retire. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
they
and they don't
retire.
retire. The joke is a real estate agent retires 1 foot in the grave, 1 foot on the curb, signing the contract for his last
That's
transaction.
yeah.
And how sad is that? That we as real estate agents who were deemed an essential service, who get the honor
Mhm.
of being part of people's journey, helping we
Yeah.
build our own wealth while we help others build their wealth. There's not a lot of positions you can carry that way,
Right.
right?
Yes.
And it seems like we're some of the most educated when it comes to
Yeah.
investment.
So it sounds like you learned of the school of hard knocks. And there's difference. The difference between being the owner and the manager, and when you're both, which is what a lot of investors do, including me when I first got started. What it'll wear on you, and I know because I did it myself. But I will tell you, if you actually buy, even if you're going to self manage, make sure you include the cost of management in your pro forma, so that if you ever decide later on to hire management, you've already got it built into your budget. And not only that, you should pay yourself a salary. Managing properties is not where you get your profit. Your profit's from being the investor. So if you're going to self-manage, pay yourself for that separately, and then it's a write-off. And but nowadays, I've got to tell you, everybody, listen. There's so many more alternatives now. There's corporate housing. There's temporary workers like nurses, traveling nurses. Of course, we've all heard of Airbnb now. There's some other companies up and running. I just know this. I'm going to be involved with a company that's basically commercializing the corporate housing market. There's assisted living. There's huge demand and need for assisted living and independent living facilities. There's so many alternatives. There's house hacking. That's how I got started, house hacking. But what would you say moving forward if someone, let's say an agent, you and I both, we know and work with real estate agents, and I used to be one. I now coach them, as well as the investors. But what would you say to an agent, Kim, if you don't mind, who's approaching and saying, hey, Kim, I really like you. I want to work with you, but I'm not even sure what I should be focusing on. Should I just be an agent? Should I be an investor too? Should I be both? Or what would maybe do like a case study if somebody was approaching in her or maybe early 30s, 2 children, and they need to bring home some bacon themselves,
Absolutely. Early 30s, 2 kids. Here's the reality. You got so much time. Start at least with think of it almost like a life insurance policy. Find a way to invest a few bucks every day. Find a way to get comfortable with shaving off. So as your personal revenue grows, so does your investment revenue. The number one thing I'd say is coach up. That would be my number one. I want to be very clear. I am not a coach on investment. I am seeking and collaborating and bringing the best coaches together, finding amazing voices. And I believe I'm more of a referral, right? Bringing people together in the right place. But I would say absolutely coach up, invest your time so you can have revenue when you're older. I think that unfortunately we have been with 27 years of HGTV. There's this entire generation of cash fast flip, and that's not really the whole picture on investments. And understanding that investments is exactly that, just like you would invest in your child.
Yeah.
To ensure that your child has the structure and the love and the nurturing it needs in order to have a fulfilled life. You need to do that with your investments too. And I wish somebody had come to me when I was making 700, 800, 900,000 in commissions without even batting an eye, and said, by the way, Kim, you need to coach up. These are your options, and you need to start dedicating a percentage of everything you do. So you need to find out your comfort zone. Do you want to manage it? Do you want it hands-on, or do you want hands-off? And are you looking at, would you look at a micro pool? Would you look at a REIT? Would you look at a ETF? Like, what are some of the options? And I didn't know that was an option. And I've been to NAR conferences. I have been to everything out there. And this is like a aha moment for me over the last few years. This has been like such a huge, I wish somebody had done that. And that's what I'm looking to do. So coach up and nurture, nurture, nurture.
Yeah. Well, that's good advice. Now, as far as how you do what you do, the world is obviously, in the last year we've made a lot of progress as far as being nimble and flexible and being able to improvise and adapt to the environment. Do you work with a lot of people from around the world, or mostly U.S. and Canada? Is it mostly online? Do you have any? Do you ever do live in person workshops, things like that people can participate in?
Well, I'm excited to say that yes, we are launching live. We have been doing everything obviously virtual. We are global. Our publishing house, which is the cornerstone, because they did a study that 83% of top income earning Americans read a minimum of 30 minutes a day, and it's called fractured reading, which is really great for multi-author publications, because we can put a great story and a great resource within 15 to 30 minutes of your reading time. So the book that we're working on, Resilient Women Real Estate Investors, is scheduled to have a conference in Toronto and a conference in Atlanta Q1 of 2022. We're just currently working with our media partners and with our PR company to ensure everything comes together. Our publishing house is out of the UK, so it is a recognized publishing house through Amazon. So these do have such great value. Everything's very, we go to great lengths to ensure the information is accurate and helpful to each person that takes the time to read it.
Yeah. Well, I love to read myself. I know I've got, oh my gosh, probably over 3,000 books now. That's over 30 something years. So since I've been reading, about 30 years. But I tell you, it's funny, whenever I read a book, I always find myself getting 3 more books to read because of that one book, and it just goes to show you can never learn too much. So, what's that?
And you know what the statistic is? It's crazy. And that's why I'm so impressed by your 7 books published, Gary. You know, the statistics are in North America, 82% of all adult North Americans that are interviewed say, yes, they would like to publish a book. Yet less than 2% actually make it to Amazon. And that's why I find the 7 books is a very prolific statement to what you can do. And that is really what we're hoping, that all these women, that this is a collaborative space for them to either dip their toe into the authorship pool, or to help bring, a lot of the women we talk to already have a self-published book, but by bringing a collaborative voice of 20 women together, you know how loud women can get, right?
That's okay with me.
You didn't say anything. Good answer. But bringing them all together to make this, we're not going to go quietly into the night. It's women like my mom deserve to know this, and every listener out there. Sometimes we try to teach our family things, and they don't want to listen to us. I know that I have been dubbed kind of the know-it-all in my family just because I've achieved a certain level of success. But now I have a book that I can hand them all and say, hey, it's not just me. Here's a book. Read it. Find your coach. Get situated. Don't die broke.
Yeah. Well, what would you say, looking backwards, the rearview mirror perspective, everything seems to make sense when we look back on it. In fact, one of my favorite exercises is, some people call it the rocking chair test. I like to say it's a vision exercise, and you project forward as if you're on your last day, and you look back and you write a story about your life, and it's what you want to see, not what you think you're going to see. It's a totally different perspective. It's what you want to see if you really lived at the spiritual level, and then no restrictions. If the universe gave you everything you needed, what would that look like? And but looking back now, from where you are now back to where when you first started, what's one of the key lessons you learn? Maybe two lessons. One more about mindset and your outlook and your perspective, and the other one perhaps more like production oriented. It was a tip you learned or a trick you learned. Maybe it has to do with real estate agency and agents and brokers, because they're always looking for the, what advantage can they get, because obviously the world changes and you think you got to figure it out and it changes again, so.
Yeah, that's our CRM. Every time you turn around, there's something new to learn. I would say if I'm looking back at the world that I choose to curate, the world that I've made, what would be the advice to and because I can speak to real estate, other real estate agents? First of all, I would say, you know what? It's amazing. Thank you. Thank you for being part of an essential service to help curate other people's lives and wealth, but ensure that you protect your own. Be sure that you're investing in your own while you're on that journey. My goal, when I do check out, when I'm on the other side of the dirt nap, I know that I will leave behind a legacy of helping thousands of women to find their leadership, their mentor, their voice, and invest in their own self-worth in the sense of securing their financial wealth. We talk a lot about women being true and authentic and doing the affirmations, but you know what? There's no shame at all in saying that I procure my own personal revenue. I'm securing my fortune and my future. There should be no embarrassment in accumulating wealth. The word wealth there's nothing there to be embarrassed of or shy away from. Own it, lean into it. And that is my goal, is to help thousands of women ensure that they know it's okay to say, yeah, I've built, a $3 million retirement fund personally, and I built it through this avenue. So that's when I go to check out. I want to know that the world I've left for my daughter and my daughter's daughters and my sister and her daughters is just that little bit better, because the hand that rocks the cradle, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, by the way, I want to remind everybody, obviously Kim is a wonderful female, but I noticed when I was looking at her information and looking at the website and reviews guide, for all the guys out there's a lot of guys out there that like Kim too. So make sure you check it out. Yeah.
I'm the mother of two sons, and my husband has been my real estate partner. He got laid off after 9/11 because he was in technology and computer and furniture integration for airport towers. That's what he specialized in.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. So he obviously, after 9/11, there was some shifts as to how all that happened, and he was downsized. And so he goes, I need a job where I make six figures and I can have a 2:00 nap time. I said, great, you're hired. So
Awesome.
I love the guys too. And sometimes I just put things in a little bit different light. But yeah, I'd love to have them all. Everybody come. Let's just find the right coach for you. Let's find the right medium. Let's get you making money and not say, oh, I'm doing a really good job. I'm not worried about the money. Honey, you need to worry about the money. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
No shame.
Yeah. Well, do you have a student you can recall, a favorite student, or maybe your first student or your last student, sort of like a case study, and like what are the steps involved when you first meet somebody or they approach you and say, Kim, I really want to work with you. What does that look like? How do I do that? What would be the steps that someone would take on the journey of working with you? Maybe it's a year-long engagement or something. I just want to get a better feel for that. Because a lot of people are always looking for that type of one-on-one relationship,
Absolutely. So I basically have, like everybody, two sides to the coin of what I do. So with the Resilient series, we procure and we actually locate and identify the next set of leaders, the voices that need to be heard. And how that works is we go through an entire intake process. Several conversations. There's full research. We have to ensure that there's no outstanding issues associated to their name or anything, so that we know in good faith that we're helping to elevate this person's name into the next level. And then we work with them. We do 5-day workshops on how to write that first book, because it's not easy, Gary? It gets easier after the first one, but it's not easy. So we actually have an intense 5-day workshop on getting your first 3,000 words and identifying what that message is. And then we do a 5-day workshop on your press and image, how and what you should be doing and saying, words that you should be staying away from. We actually teach a lot of people how to avoid the scroll hole of social media, that not all social media is good. And those are the types of things we're doing. And we're specifically in real estate investment. On the flip side of that, I do work with a lot of new agents, and I'm really blessed with this opportunity. And we actually work on the cornerstones of understanding that they're building a business. You're not a salesperson. If you go in with a salesperson mentality and you run deal to deal to deal to deal, and you get distracted by all the shiny objects, you're going to be broke. You're going to be one of the guys who's standing 1 foot in the grave, 1 foot on the curb. So we actually work for 6 weeks developing their mission statement, their vision statement, their relatable attributes, their sphere of influence, then putting all of that in together with their business to business scripting, and then bringing that back around so that they can be launched with other coaches because there's some amazing coaches like yourself, Gary. There's some really good coaches out there, and you have to find the right fit. Not everybody's the right fit for me. And that's all I'm doing is curating an opportunity for people to come in, get the base foundations, and then on the flip side of that, helping people elevate through production to instruction and getting their message out there. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. It's funny. I do want to piggyback on what you were talking about, writing and getting started in the first 3,000 words. When I wrote my first book, I contracted with someone, and she was helping me, giving me the steps involved and tips and pointers and guidance. And I already kind of wrote it, but I didn't know what I was doing when I wrote it. It was not consumable at that point. But what I did is I thought, well, I'm going to need a lot of time to do this. And I was already running a couple businesses. So I turned them over I hired people to manage them for me. And I got a place down on the Chesapeake Bay for about 3 months, thinking I'm going to need that much time to write that book, just hearing stories of people and writing books. And so I get down there, and, I've got all this time for 3 months, my dog, my paddleboard, and everything I need to enjoy the life on the water. So guess how long it took me to write that first book? The initial draft.
I have no idea. I'm dying to know.
About 3 hours.
I'm going to take it. Well, I'm going to say that. How long?
About 3 hours. And within
3 hours?
Within a couple of days, it was like pretty much complete. It needed to have a lot of polishing. And it ended up, I wrote 4 more books. I wrote my first 5 books when I was down there. And I'd write, and I'd watch the tide, and I'd take my paddleboard out on the tide and go to what we call Bird Island and watch all the birds. And then my dog would be on the front of the board, and I'd paddle back and get back to writing again and have a nice dinner of seafood on the deck, because I had crab pots out and fish and everything. But it was an amazing experience. And I want to tell everybody, you don't have to take off 3 months to write a book. I promise you. Work with Kim, and I'm pretty sure there's the part of the process is usually where you do what's something called like immersion, where you just really focus. But within a couple of days, you can probably get that first 3,000 words out, which is critical. So you just learn from my experience of do it Kim's way, So yeah.
Oh, that's awesome, Gary. And you would love our publisher. Our publishing house is Writing Matters out of the UK.
Okay.
And Andrew Priestley is the owner of that, and his mission statement would actually very much align with exactly what yours is. He's just we provide high quality intellectual content that is family friendly. We're not here to jump on any tirades, and we're not here to offend. We're just here to educate and help people grow their wealth.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, if you wouldn't mind, I know we're running a little long here, but I want to have people be able to reach out to you, because I know there's an old saying, everybody's got a book inside of them. And I agree with that, guys. I'm living proof. So Kim, how can people get a hold of you? Is there a free chapter, an event, or a website, or email, or a consultation? What's the best thing we can do to help help you connect with some of our listeners.
All righty. I'm easy to find. I'm Kim Hayden on LinkedIn. Easy to find. Just look for the big red head. So, and then we have my website is resilientseries.club. We are very active in Clubhouse. And then we also have on Instagram, it's Resilient Series on Instagram. And in that, if you go to the bio in the link, there is actually a free chapter of that book.
Cool. Okay. So let me repeat this. We got, go to LinkedIn, look for Kim Hayden, Hayden. Also go to resilientseries.club, okay, CLUB, and you can see it on Instagram and get yourself a free chapter. And that's a great way to start. Put your tiptoes in the water, folks, and start there. And I'm telling you, a chapter you can probably read in the evening. Maybe you can read when you're getting ready to go to bed, when you first wake up in the morning, which is what I do, or Sunday afternoon. But take advantage of this. And Kim, I would just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I speak for a lot of others, that I know you're a busy person. I know you're successful, and really appreciate you taking your precious time to do this.
Oh, Gary, you're amazing, and thank you for just opening up your platform and sharing your audience, which I know that you have worked very hard to get the highest quality people to listen to you and to work with. And, the OPA of business, other people's audience, is a real thing, and sharing and collaborating is critical. And Gary, when we get our set date in Toronto, I will send you a couple tickets for you and a couple tickets for your audience. How's that? That's
great. I'll break out my old toque. I'm currently called Florida home, but I still go up to Canada quite a bit, and not afraid of January in Canada. For all the Americans listening here, in Canada, we don't live in igloos.
No, we've got the Marriott. Don't you worry. We got you covered.
And some of the best food on the planet, some of the best beer on the planet, and some of the nicest people on the planet. So
when you come up, we'll go to the Danforth and find some good Greek food, okay?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Papa's Grill. We'll give Papa a plug. Papa's Grill in the Danforth neighborhood of Toronto, guys. You got to visit. Best Greek food I think I've ever had. Every time I'm there, we know we're going to the Big Carrot, get our organic food, and we go to Papa's Grill to get our Greek meal. So
awesome.
So everyone, listen. Take care of yourselves. Thank you for listening, and remember, for you agents out there, real estate agents, go to the website realestatewithgarywilson.com. And if you want to be part of the team, it's not a traditional team. It's not you. They're your transactions, your listings. You get credit for them all. And it's not the old 50-50 split. It's an education-based team. It's a network across North America. So check it out for free. And if you're an investor, go on and get all the material you can get in the membership area. Get it for free for 30 days. And we'll see you on the next podcast. God bless you and your families. And Kim, God bless you too. And thank you for doing this. Everybody, take care. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Massive Passive Cash Flow. Be sure to go to realestatewithgarywilson.com to join our community and start building wealth today.